Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again with another a review from 1987, Stage Fright, also called Deliria, Aquarius, but usually I found it under Stage Fright. Now Stage Fright has two horror movies, so I think Aquarius would be the better name because I like Stage Fright more, but Stage Fright does have two horror movies, one in 1981, I believe, of 1980, 1980, 81, and this one from 87. So it gets a 6.6 on IMDb, which isn't bad. It's a not a giallo, but it's a Italian. It's a dubbed movie, right? It's like giallo movies. It does get a 6.5 from me. It's a really entertaining movie. You've got Michel Suavi is a director, and I know Suavi. I know a lot of movies were made by this director, and good ones. And one of the writers is George Eastman. Now, George Eastman is the fake name of an Italian actor, writer. I didn't know he wrote. He's the guy from the, if you saw Anthropophagus and Absurd, which are so. Eastman is like this big, tall, looming giant of a man, and in Anthropophagus, he plays this cannibal who basically the, the the cover says it all. The cover of the DVD of the movie sees him eating his own guts while his own stomach is being cut open. So, I mean, he made this real gory movies, and Absurd is also one of them, where he plays a deranged killer that escaped of an asylum, and in Anthropophagus, he's a survivor of a sailing boat that went under during a storm, but they didn't have food, so he ate his own wife and child that were on the rubber dinghy, you know. So yeah, that's pretty fucked up. But he's the writer, and I didn't know. And you've probably seen this movie because this movie is pretty gory. Every kill you see will be seen on screen. It's very graphic. Most of the kills, practical effects, how I like it. You've got a few key characters. Peter is one of them. So this movie's about, to start off, just explanation. Then I'll talk about spoilers, but I'll warn you guys. The movie is about a show, a theater show, and they're holding this play about. I think the first play they were holding is about the city and a girl that's a prostitute and the dangers of the city and blah 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 blah. Not a really interesting play. Then something happens, and they say, okay, let's keep a skeleton, the most important actors and people for the lighting and crew on board, and let's make a different play, one about a serial killer, a real life serial killer called Irvin Wallace, who basically was also an actor, and he killed a massacred basically all of his co-actors during a play, during a rehearsal of a play, and then he, of course, was locked up in an insane asylum, and you know, so on and so on. Now this man escapes at some point. This isn't a spoiler. The movie is about this Irvin Wallace guy making his way through the theater show that the movie's having, and going in a costume undercover. Basically, he starts undercover, but then they, of course, immediately know that this guy isn't who he's supposed to be. Uh, Takes down the man who's supposed to be the killer, and the killer in the play, and also the real killer, takes the same outfit. It's a giant head mask of a owl, an owl's mask, and you'll never see something like that in a. I never seen that in any other movie I ever seen. First of all, the mask is like this big, and he has this black outfit on, and the original theater show was also with that owl guy, and the guy who wears this is called Brett. But he gets sort of
Let me know when you get to
neutralized
the
in the
part about
beginning of the
earning enough
movie
money to keep
when,
body and soul together. That's the information I can use. Now look at
and of
Laurel.
course,
She's a perfect example.
he will take over that mask and pretend he's on just walking around, first just walking around, and of course then doing in the inevitable and killing people, right? So we're gonna talk spoilers, okay? So this, you've got Peter, the director of this play, a drug popping he's constantly snorting these little, vials of heroin, coke, because he's all amped up. Then you got the main girl, the final girl, sort of, it's already a spoiler, of course, Alicia. Then you, like I said, Irvin Wallace, the real killer, um, and Brett, the guy who plays the killer, and you have a few other key characters that I'm not all gonna mention. You also have I believe I'm not sure what her name was. At some point, Alicia breaks her. No, she strains her ankle, and she has to go to the doctor. Now, of course, the director is like being the biggest asshole of all, and he says, if you do that, you're out of it, no money, you can go home. And she's like, okay, fuck you, I'm going. And eventually, they can't find anything better because they can't find anything better than an insane asylum to go, instead of finding a hospital, which every town, even the smallest town, have a clinic. No, they go to an insane asylum to watch over that foot. Okay? Now, of course, in the insane asylum, they have doctors. That's right. They have doctors. They have people there on staff to heal people. But they go to the same insane asylum where Irvin Wallace is kept because he's there because he's going for court the next day. Now Irvin Wallace, they go past the prison. Now this prison is open, completely open, just bars, and he sees Alice, and he's making eye contact with Alice. So he also, okay, that's point four. So he already knows who that is and her friend. So he sees them. We get a little exposition about the doctor that's treating them. So it's a doctor that wants to treat them. But going in an insane asylum, I mean, isn't there a fucking clinic in the neighborhood or something? Oh my god. Okay. Is this theater building so, isolated from. Usually these buildings aren't so isolated. They're usually in town centers or something. And you don't have a clinic or a hospital or whatever. No, let's go to the insane asylum because that's where I'm going. That's where I'm always going when I feel sick. The nut house, the loony farm. Yeah, come on. And eventually, because she's let out by when they want to go to the hospital, and she's let back in by this caretaker, this black guy who's really friendly towards her. He calls her Ali. They know each other from previous times when she was acting in that theater hall, and he at the very end has a weird but significant role. um, Now, she already goes in, but at the moment when they basically are driving away from the insane asylum, Irvin Wallace already made plans to escape. He already killed the nurse that had to give him an injection, and he of course gives that guy the injection and puts him in bed, so it looks like Irvin Wallace is in bed. Nobody knows he escaped until he kills Alicia's good friend that drove her to that insane asylum. Because, like I said, she stayed in the car a little bit longer. It was raining, and she gets this pole, a pole with a sign right through her mouth, and it comes out the back of her head. So, like I said, graphic kills, right? Every kill you're gonna see, every kill you're gonna see. There's not a cutaway kill. There's always you're gonna. It's with all those Italian, German, all these foreign movies that are dubbed in English that you can see the gore. That's just what makes it so cool. These movies have a you always see and always practical effects, no CGI or something. It's already fairly cool. So what happens is that the police finds out that he escaped, that he's in the area. So what they do is, okay, we gotta find him, of course. But then the director, because his show was actually a failing show, it wasn't a good one. The reviews were already bad and this and that. That's why he was snorting the coke, because he knows he's gonna be fucked up. He wasn't glad with what's happening, what he was seeing. And then he had the idea, which, like I said, he's a scumbag. He wanted to capitalize of this murder to make a show, a theater show of Irvin Wallace and
Yes. You know that people have a morbid
about a
curiosity about
killer,
murder.
right? Instead
They're
of
going to
the
line up for
gravity of
blocks
a
to see a show
city
in which
and
one of the
a
actresses has been murdered
prostitute
by
and
the
things like that. That
real-life
wasn't the
maniac
first
in the
show.
plot. Can't you understand?
So he wants to use that kill as and people will be in his deranged head will be interested in the morbid, because everybody is interested in the morbid. They're morbid, you know, interests. So he decides to call a few actors back in and a few technicians back in. The caretaker, he goes. So it's only the director and then a few actors. I believe the PA of the director, and then a lighting of the guy for the lighting, right? And the soundtrack and things like that, and some actors. And he's telling that he's telling when everybody gets in, he has an other girl that's there as a sort of also an assistant, but not the official PA, but she's also like an intern, and she has to watch, and maybe she can do a small bit, but she takes over the role of Alicia. And before she does that, Peter gives her the key and says, hide this key, will you, darling?
Lock the door.
So nobody can get out. If at some point Alicia is still there in the building, and she wants to get the hell out, and it's the scene with what Alicia was meant to be. She's doing her thing, and eventually Alicia asks to get I want to get the hell out of here. I'm busy, he says. She goes to the door. She can't find a key because the caretaker said that the other key will be behind this block. It's gone. She can't get the hell out. Now there are two cop cars outside for the security of these people. Now these two cops in the sorry, one cop car, two cops. These are the most idiotic cops ever. They go back and forth towards these cops, and they're like, oh, "Look at me." They're like with that New Yorkian accent, while this is clearly not New York. Look at me. I'm eating spinach, like Popeye. Yeah, right, Popeye. Yeah. My wife wants me on a diet. What you got? It's like that scene from Halloween 2018 when those two cops are asking what do you got? I got a sandwich with brie, and the other guy says I got a muffin. I mean, it's things like that they're talking about. So, and it goes back and forward. So these are the most useless cops ever. Now, in the wardrobe, Brett is looking for his owl mask because he has to go on stage. He can't find it. Then he ducks, and behind him is standing Irvin Wallace in his owl mask. And we don't see what happens to Brett. Now this is because he comes in play, in the later on in the movie. If he would have been killed, we would have seen it. And like I said, the girl, the intern girl, is now on stage, and she is going to lie on bed, and her meaning is to die by the killer. So he calls for Brett. Where the hell is Brett? Brett comes out, like Brett comes out. I mean, Irvin Wallace comes out looking like this, and in the meantime, he has a knife in his hand, and then Peter is the director is yelling, "What has this knife to do with anything?" Because he wanted his
Jesus Christ, what's the knife got to do with anything?
He just stabs multiple times. He stabs the girl multiple times. It's like, oh, everybody's looking in awe, and then he runs away, and then they go to the girl, and she's dying, and then, oh shit, the keys, where are the keys? And everybody say, what the fuck are you talking about? She hit the keys. Without the keys, we can't get out of here. And they're like,
put it. The key to the main door. Where did you put it?
She dies. Nobody knows
The key.
the fucking key.
Where's the key, for God's sake? Where's the key? Leave her alone.
Go towards the door.
She's dead.
Looks like a fucking,
We've got to find
a door that would, a silo door that's so thick, full of metal. I'm not sure, and they're like banging against it, but really going hard, taking things and breaking it on there, and the cops don't hear jack shit. Now, granted, it's raining like a motherfucker outside, but they don't do jack shit. They don't hear jack shit, and so these, like I said, these cops are useless throughout the entire movie. They don't have anything to do. They just sit there. They go back and forth. One time, some point, when all the killing is happening in that theater, they check their hood of their car or something. I mean, instead of a normal cop would check on, what's happening in that theater to see, because they know the killer is a theater buff, to check see what's happening because it's been quiet for a long time, right? I mean, that's what I would do as a cop. But okay, of course, at this point, uh, you also got a producer in there. Uh, he gets killed at some point because all of his money's flying away, and he wants to. He doesn't want to leave the money behind, but everybody's already running away, and he's alone, and the killer's there. He gets stabbed too, not too violent kill, but then the violent kills start to happen because then you've got a guy uh, holding the door back for the killer, and he gets um, drilled by this driller through the door, and it comes out of his neck, I believe, or something. It comes out of his body, and you see him the drill coming out of his body. So it's pretty graphic. Then, at the meantime, the lighting guy and the soundtrack guy, he has a girlfriend there who's apparently also pregnant, one of the actresses. They're going to look for some weapons. Apparently, the caretaker had a gun. They do find the gun, but no, oh, sorry, that's for later. They think maybe he has some keys there, but they do find some weapons like wrenches, an axe, a fire axe, and things like that. They come back. They find, of course, the dead body of the PA. That was the PA who got the drill. Then they see so not they say, okay, now we stick together. They go out. So who you've got? You got the director, Alicia, the bitch of the movie, also an actress. Then the pregnant actress, the lighting and sound guy. That's it. Okay, plus a killer. Then and like I'm saying five, and the director, right, Peter. And they're all saying, "Let's stick together." He's taking constantly coke, and he's saying, "Oh, let's stick together and let's just, all right, figure this one out." It was strength in numbers, so okay, they're again trying to bang the doors with everything they've got, with axes and things. But like I said, it's like a steel nuclear silo door or something, because nothing can budge the door, nothing can break through it. I mean, I'm guessing the doors are also made of steel because they got the axes, the fire axes, and they can't do jack shit with them. And at some point, the sound goes on, and they see this owl guy standing on the owl killer, standing on this bridge that is above the theater, floors. You always have those sacks of sand, and then where all the ropes are, and it's above the theater floor, a bridge. So the director says to the guy that does the light. He says, "Let's go. We'll go that way. You guys go that way, so we can, cut him off and kill him." So they're basically trying to corner him, and they sort of succeed. He goes into this one door, and Peter, like Rambo, is just kicking the door in, goes in, finds a guy on the floor with an owl mask, and he immediately starts to chop him to bits and gives like a dozen whacks with the axe. And then they take off the mask, and we see it's Brett. Hence why he didn't kill Brett. He wanted to use Brett as a sort of diversion, right? And then something weird happens. So the floor is really weak, and the pregnant girl falls through the floor. Now we hear somebody underneath that floor, and we hear a chainsaw going on. And they're like, "Oh, help me, get me the hell out of here!" And her boyfriend, I'm guessing it's her boyfriend, not her husband, is trying to get her out, and then they get her out, and the only thing that comes with it is her top bottom, and the rest is, of course, and some guts. The rest is being chopped off. The boyfriend becomes crazy. He takes this small axe and he goes in and he sees the killer. Now, this area, that's what I wanted to say, this strange area. You have to understand they're on the top level, and the area where he's jumping in looks like a sewage system because it's like this high underwater. It's You have these sewage holes, but it's in the top level. That's weird, right? And then he jumps in like to take revenge for his fallen pregnant girlfriend, and he's like, "Wah!" But he doesn't do anything, and he just the guy with the chainsaw just do, "Ooh, shit," and he's like, "Ah!" And he didn't do anything. It goes right through him, basically halving him with the chainsaw. He didn't do jack shit. It was just standing there, not even throwing the axe or something. He just not even swinging the axe. He's just staying. Then eventually, Peter and the bitch, they run away, but Alicia is stuck with her feet. They leave her behind, like the assholes they are. And then eventually, the killer comes after Peter and the bitch girl. And Peter, being the asshole that he is, the killer's coming closely towards him with the chainsaw. Peter uses the girl as a shield, throws her towards the killer. The killer chainsaws her, but not deadly yet, but just, cuts her with the chainsaw. And then Peter's like, he has the axe still, and he's doing like this. "Stay away from me. Stay away if you want money. If you want fame. I don't deserve this." And then eventually the killer takes both his arms off. Bzz, bzz, and then eventually he takes his head off. So he gets what's coming to him. And the bitch too, because at some point Alicia is hiding in a shower room because she got wounded and she wanted to clean the wound. Then she hears the killer coming in, and then she's hiding in this in a shower. But in the shower next to her, the bitch girl is there, all bloodied up, and we see the bitch girl sees Alicia, and she wants to, like always being a bitch, when the killer comes in, she wants to point out that she's there, but the killer doesn't listen and just luckily takes her, and he goes and set this entire piece of dead bodies up like a theater play, right? And he's sitting in the middle of it with a cat. The cat that's always been lurking around. It's the cat of the caretaker, apparently. And he's not an animal killer because he's like really petting the cat, and he's sitting there in the middle. And then Alicia finds a gun from the caretaker because the caretaker said, "I have a gun in there." She finds it, and then she hides underneath the theater floor, and it's there where she finds the key. Apparently the key was just on the intern actress, and when she died, when she fell, the key fell through the cracks of the floor. She takes the key. The killer sees this, but then eventually she tries to blow his head off, but the gun goes like, okay, nothing happens. She gets the fuck. I believe she finds the chainsaw. She's going after him with a chainsaw, but eventually he bumps himself against these barrels of fire, real fire. Why, I'm not sure. Why did I guess for props, but real fire, and he bumps against it, and he he basically catches on fire. Now, okay, the cops come in, and this is the final. That's why I wanted to talk about the caretaker. So the cops come in, they investigate another new massacre. You know, everybody got killed except Alicia. But Alicia lost her necklace there, so she goes back to the crime scene, but she knows that the caretaker is there. She said, "Can I go in?" She said, "Normally you can because I'm gonna close this up because the police don't want anybody in here." Yeah, but I need to find my. I lost my mother's, necklace, and she died. And okay, go in, he says, but no longer than 5 minutes. She goes in, finds the necklace, and then out of nowhere, and that's something I don't understand. So the cops came in, found all the dead bodies. There's no talk about Irvin Wallace being alive. Apparently, he was alive because there's also no talk, as I can remember, and I didn't see. I saw the movie not too long ago that they said, "Oh, we couldn't find Irvin Wallace's body. He's there behind her with an axe, completely burned, but still alive." And then the caretaker shoots Wallace between the eyes, and then he comes, and Alicia's like, "Oh," and then the caretaker says, "Oh, you guys took the gun, but you forgot to put the safety off." So there was a okay. So the gun had a full clip and a bullet in the chamber, but the safety was on. Oh my God! They could have killed the killer a long time ago, but they just didn't know how to use the gun properly. Had a full clip with a bullet in the chamber, just the safety was on. And then the caretaker starts to be weird, and he's
I don't know when to show you how to put the
look,
bullet in the
look at
chamber.
him, right between the eyes.
See that?
Got him, right between
Look at
the
him,
eyes.
right between the eyes.
Allie, look at him, look at him.
Just like I said.
Now he's walking away.
Right between the eyes.
I got him right between the
Damn.
eyes, and he's sitting there,
See
keep
that,
repeating
Allie?
himself. Right
Right between the eyes.
And then the killer opens his eyes again, and the movie's done. Okay. No, it's a great movie. It's a fun movie. You got some schlock in there. You've got the kills in there, the the gratuitous violence, the cool practical effects. Yeah, good practical effect. Didn't look fake. But that's the thing with these foreign giallo-esque horror movies. They usually don't look fake. Those practical effects, they look really good and real, and they're done by people I don't know. Maybe there's this Italian or whatever, German Tom Savini as guy doing all these things, or Stan Winston or something. But yeah, they were pretty good. The acting isn't that bad. You have some hammy acting here and there, which is usually the case with when movies get dubbed. Um, but like the pregnancy thing, that was not really necessary to put that in there. Maybe for shocks because she gets killed, but that wasn't, you know, the the two cops outside there that just didn't do anything, and that didn't, that was just put cops there, but sort of a safe, to give you a safe feeling of comfort. But these guys were sitting there, explaining what their diets were, fidgeting around on the car, discussing things, and like I said, it goes back and forth, and that was like I said, that, and then the pregnancy thing, and a little bit of the hammy acting in there, but for the most part, the acting is good. You've got a good location, like I said, a theater, an interesting location, and a very interesting looking killer. And he used a variety of weapons. Sorry, variety. Various weaponry. That's better, right? Various weaponry, like I said, axe. He uses a knife. He uses a chainsaw. He uses a drilling device. He uses multiple things like that, and ultimately to set up this show at the end with all the dead bodies. Peter's head is put on this mannequin. I mean, it's pretty gory and crazy at the same time, but it was a cool shot because in his mind, the killer, that's his play, right? His killing of all these people is his theater play, is his play, and then the end shot is him sitting in the middle on a couch with all those dead bodies, and all staged, right, in practical ways. So a good movie. I recommend this one. Stage Fright. Like I said, Aquarius is also Deliria. I never didn't see that movie go under Deliria a lot of times, but it is found under Deliria. But Stage Fright 1987, if you want to look on a Stage Fright, or Aquarius, I'm thinking this is free on YouTube, but I'm not 100% sure. I saw this free, and I believe it was on YouTube, but I'm not sure. Uh, Look it up. It's a great movie. It's one of those movies you don't have to think too much. Get your popcorn on and get some bloody moments on. A goofy yet cool killer, in my opinion. The Owl Head Killer, all right? The Owl Killer, Irvin Wallace. And some wacky characters, some good characters, some hammy characters, but overall a good movie. See you next time. Bye bye.